congratulations on your 5th season of All Up in My Grill on Tastemade. What techniques and recipes are you excited to share with audiences this time around?
You know, for season 5, I wanted to still bring these amazing recipes and fun techniques, but we were really focusing on technique. I know, watching my past seasons, I could tell that, and even through interactions through my social media with people watching the show, they're like, "This is a great recipe. It's super fun to see you make these things. I don't have these 13 ingredients to make that dish." So I was like, you know what? Let's try and pare down some of these recipes, but make and put an emphasis on technique. Because at some point, season 5 already, we're into it. We want to make some of these things feel really intuitive, right? Or get the viewer to understand that grilling and or just cooking in general becomes an intuitive skill as opposed to you just following a recipe. And I think there was a real focus on that for this season.
Well, one of the things you stress to Tastemade audiences is that a grill isn't a grill. It's an outdoor kitchen. When did you decide to make that your sort of mission statement for the show?
Right from the beginning. And it's how you can use this heat source, right, that just happens to be a grill, whether it's gas or live fire, charcoal, wood, whatever you be it. We're introducing a tandoori oven this season, which is something we haven't done before. And it's just really understanding that you can cook many different things. You can use it as a vehicle to bake, to pan fry, to actually grilling, to everyone has these kind of outdoor griddles. You can do a lot of these different techniques while still utilizing being outside. So using a saute pan or a griddle on top of your grill to make pancakes or crispy hash browns, or that was really the mantra. It's really, how do we get people to be out there and understand that you don't just have to take a piece of meat or vegetables and put this on a grill. You can still use a saute pan if you're a little bit uncomfortable, or to be able to do 2 different things at one time. You're grilling meat, but you want to make say you're doing brunch and you want to put a steak on, but you want to cook pancakes. How do you do that? This will let us show you.
In the premiere, you start off the season by cooking 2 different kinds of ribs in 2 different kinds of way.
We're kicking things off with smoked beef short ribs, slow smoked, glazed with red vinegar, black pepper, coriander, and pickled onions. This is a deep and rich and beautifully meaty dish, like me. Then we're going Miami style with sweet and smoky St. Louis pork spare ribs, slathered in a bacon guava barbecue sauce that bring that Vice City heat.
What is it about ribs that make them so versatile?
What I think makes ribs so versatile is that they, one, contain a lot of, they're marbled really well, so they have a lot of fat. So they lend themselves to staying juicy, and they're also on the bone. But they're also, when you think of barbecue, right, it's one of those iconic things, like ribs on the grill. But in other countries, right, even in the Philippines or in other places, they'll braise them slowly. And, just all that intermuscular, all the things that break down and make a rib kind of unctuous and succulent, if you braise them, you'll still get that same effect. So I think that's what makes ribs so versatile, is that in a lot of different cultures, you'll have them cooked in a lot of different ways.
One of the things I'm curious about is the process of getting a meal to screen. Are you coming up with the recipes yourself? Are you shopping for ingredients? Can you talk about that?
Getting a meal from kind of inception into the screen, it's a collaborative effort. I've worked with wonderful culinary directors and culinary, culinary leads on these shows, and it's really a conversation between the network, Tastemade, myself, and that person. And it starts off with what do you want to do, and this is kind of some of the things that the network is jazzed on, and that helps me give me inspiration. Oftentimes it's easier to cook when there's at least some type of parameters, as opposed to make whatever you want. We discuss kind of what we think the recipe should be, and how we're gonna move through the segment, and the magic of TV. Some things are that like a turkey, you can't really make that on a you're not gonna make that in a 45-minute show or a half-hour show. you need to cheat some of that stuff and have one ready. So those are the things that we kind of talk through to get to the end result, to show the viewer in our world, the end product, or else we'd be there for like 3.5 hours.
Tastemade is not your only platform. You are also a frequent presence on the Food Network. You've been on tons of shows there. Which is the favorite one you've done and why?
When you work with someone like Guy Fieri, Tournament Champions is such a fun show.
I'm back on TOC 6. I'm not here to come in, for a fun time. If I'm going to get pulled away from my family, I want to be a champ.
It's really hard, and you're put in a category of chefs that are just amazing talents. So the atmosphere around all these amazing chefs is so fun. You get 36 chefs together. It's more than 36. It's like at 40 something at this point. You get all of us together, and I'm a little longer in the tooth these days, so it's not these all-night party sessions, but you get out to have great meals with amazing chefs, and it's a fun way to stay connected to people, and that environment's been really fun. I just did, I was able to do some other stuff like Wild Card Kitchen and Guys Grocery Games, and they're all fun, but Tournament Champions is really the pinnacle of those shows on that network.
Yeah, and this is a safe space, so I want you to share your true thoughts on the randomizer on TOC.
I mean, the randomizer, and it is, I've done 2 seasons of it, so the randomizer and I hopefully are becoming a little bit more friends. But there is this mentality that I used to have of like, okay, plan, and the reality is I think that I'm much more of a free thinker. So the less I actually plan, the less I have my mind, the more I am inspired by what that randomizer gives me, I think the better cooking I do.
Obviously, with cooking competitions like that, I imagine it's nerve-wracking. How do you deal with that?
The nerves are only up until the clock starts to go. Some of these younger chefs that are on, like, especially TOC, they don't know who I am. And I'm down with that. Like, don't know who I am. But if you do know, if you start to scratch the surface, I was doing cooking competitions, Top Chef Season 4. You had a glue stick in your hand and crayons when I was doing this. Like, legit, that's what you were doing, You were like in 2nd grade. I've been doing it a long time. I'm Season 4. I mean, we were shooting that in 720, 3x4. The sides were blanked out. You got to squint because you don't know that this is like, why is this picture looking so fuzzy? That was like almost 80 pounds ago for me. That's how long ago that was. So, hopefully I get to keep this youthful glow. But when those people start to recognize, like, some of us have been doing this for a minute. What I've learned is kind of the more you like relax yourself and calm down, the better you cook and the less nerves you get. And I think that's what takes you to the next level. The
Bear, everyone's favorite, culinary fictional show, Season 4 just dropped yesterday. Are you watching?
I love everything about the show. I can't watch it. It's a little close to home. Jeremy Allen White and Joel kind of was his executive chef, and he was leaning over him and kind of like whispering, like just getting in his ear, and that was like so PTSD for me. Like, I was like, that exactly happened to me, and that was the moment I was like, I can't watch this. Like, those moments are so accurate. They really nailed it. So, but yeah, it really was like a little triggering. A lot of these chefs, a lot of us reacted not well, and the cultures change, and it took a lot of us to like look at how we were acting and how the industry was and say, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to have a kitchen that is respectful. You draw a line in the sand and say, hey, no more. I'm not going to continue this, this behavior anymore. And, now it's like you want to build and support, and you want a team that wants to work with you. And then how do you do that? It's not by the way that the Bear portrays it, that he got treated.
You're obviously a Bravo guy. We were talking about Real Housewives before you sat down. What is your favorite franchise and why?
My favorite franchise, Dubai's pretty good. I also think that the Miami series and the Miami Housewives, they give it their all. That they give everything that they have to that show. It reminds me of, I mean, and I love Jersey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I am in Jersey, so I love Jersey. I don't know how the cast is getting redone, or if they are doing it, or who's coming and going. I don't keep up with it that much.
And if you were going to have a Real Housewife come on to All Up in My Grill and you were going to make a meal for them, who would it be and why?
Oh, it would be Teresa Giudice, without even second thought. It would be Teresa Giudice. I mean, one, they're local Jersey people, so hopefully that, you know, we can all kind of lift up some Jersey cats, because I live in River Edge, New Jersey. But that she's a special one. I mean, that she's gone through it, and she's, you know, I think maybe she's still going through it, but she's doing her thing, and would love her on the show and see what I could teach her on the grill.